We'll hear more about that, of course, on the program. Finishing up with Dr. Ron Paul. The book is The School Revolution. You can get it in stores. We kind of left off at the break talking about capitalism. And I kind of have this idea that this generation should understand capitalism better than any other, because at some degree it was sort of an academic exercise until you have this opportunity with the internet. Internet is a place where I think everybody knows, hey, I can go on the internet, I can find the best prices, I can find any variety of anything. Systems work better, feedback puts the best people on top and puts the people who aren't doing quality work down below. That's the free market at work. But it doesn't seem like this generation is latching onto that, or latching onto the principles of capitalism as well as I would have at least had hoped.
Well, they know how to make purchases on the internet, and when they realize that they pay less taxes on the internet, they like that too, because now they're trying to collect more sales taxes on the internet. The one problem is the word capitalism was created by the communists to be a pejorative and a nasty thing. Oh, dirty capitalism. Capitalism is bad. And even though some think we should reform and teach and say capitalism is something good, I don't have the energy to do that. So I don't use that word as much. I use free markets because the ism was meant to be negative. It's sort of like when you get into isolationism. It sounds horrible, but I say I'm a non-interventionist. I don't want to isolate myself at all. So using words are very important. But I think the free market is something that we do have to win the fight on. Eventually we have to. I think it's just a little easier when you use free markets and make sure people identify corporatism, and they can't ever relate corporatism and free markets the same, and make them think corporatism and corporatism and free markets are quite a bit different.
I have this thing on my weekend show where I have I call it the hot girl monologue, where we have an attractive female just talking about capitalism or talking about freedom of the Second Amendment, because I feel like sometimes it's just the packaging. You've been able to overcome. I mean, here you are, a guy relating to people under 20, probably better than any politician, with the possible exception of Barack Obama on the other side. And you've been able to do that in a way that no one else seems to be latching onto or been able to replicate. How is that?
I've been trying to figure it out myself. I'm glad I've been able to do it. And 5 years ago, it wasn't happening. I would go to a college campus, say the same thing, but the enthusiasm wasn't there. I noticed a big difference in the '08 campaign and the crisis that was hit. And the debates were such, and a lot of college kids, when I ask them why you interested, they says, well, it sounds like you're the only one telling the truth. So, but I think it was the collapse that made people think there is something wrong, and they figured I was giving them a straight story. And you can't fool young people as much as you can fool the businessman who's dependent on the government. He's 40, 50, 60 years old. He's lived with this. He knows the ropes. He knows how to get around things, and they're not much interested in looking at this with an open mind. And young people are, and they're more attuned to the internet, and so that makes me more optimistic, that they do. But personal liberty is appealing. I think it's appealing to all of us. I think, somebody was sort of making fun of me on the internet because I said I was born as a libertarian, because I think we are. Just think of the little kids, very independent-minded. And we were talking about homeschooling. That's all squelched by the public school system. People want to be self-starters and energetic and learn on their own and ask questions and things. But the same way with teenagers are pretty independent-minded too. And I think that I made people feel good about it, like there wasn't anything wrong by having an independent mind, an independent spirit. But I really emphasize, and they don't seem to be offended by that, you have to assume responsibility. If you want your life and you want to keep the money you earn, and you can have your own lifestyle, if you mess up, you just can't depend on somebody else. And you have to be non-aggressive. You can't have aggress against anybody else. And you have to be tolerant of people, even if you disagree with their lifestyles. And you put that together, and people say, that makes sense. And therefore, the crowds that I would get at the colleges were very diverse.
Yeah.
They were just different, because everybody uses freedom in a different way. We do it in religion. We have different religion, but we're not as tolerant as people who have different social lifestyles. You know, people, oh no, he does this, and we don't approve of that kind of stuff. And
yeah, I'm very much with you. I want the government out of my heterosexual marriage. At this point, I want them out of all of it. I
want government out of marriage, altogether.
All out of the entire business. The book is called The School Revolution by Dr. Ron Paul. And man, it's interesting because I think it's something that a lot of people don't consider. I feel like I don't know if I'd be able to homeschool myself, my kids, because it just seems difficult. I don't know that I feel like it's something I've always been brought up to. You're not a teacher; you have to be qualified for that, but you can do it yourself. Dr. Paul, thank you very much for being on the program.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
We'll see you tomorrow.